Today let us discuss about raster methods for geometric transformations. So in earlier sessions we had discussed about raster systems. Okay, so in raster systems you will be having a buffer called frame buffer where you are going to store the informations. Okay, what kind of informations you may be storing in frame buffer? You'll be storing the information about the color, or you can say the size of the pixel or coordinate information of an object. So every information of a particular object, whatever you want to display on the screen, is being stored initially at the frame buffer. Okay, so now we have an in the raster system we have an alternate method to perform the two-dimensional transformations. So in earlier sessions we have discussed what are the different types of transformations we have in OpenGL. We had translation function, scaling, rotation. So all these we commonly call it as transformations, 2D transformations. Okay. So here we have an alternate method to perform these operations. Okay. It may be a scaling operation or a translation operation or a rotation operation. So let us discuss it in detail. So let us see here. You have a function that manipulates rectangular pixel arrays called raster operations. Okay, so here in the raster systems we actually have an alternate method where we are going to use the functions that manipulate the rectangular pixel arrays. Okay, so here we are going to move the blocks of pixel values from one position to the another position in the frame buffer, and we call that as a block transfer or bit block transfer, or we call it as pixel block transfer. Okay, so that is the meaning here. So let us I'll tell you in detail. See, if you have a system, raster system, okay, and you are going to have a monitor, is it? And in the inside the monitor you will be having a display window. Okay, and now suppose I have an object, maybe an triangle I have, and now I want to move this particular object to other location. So what exactly I may be doing? See, this operation is called as, normally we call it as translation operation, is it? So now how I am going to move the particular object that is placed here to another position. Okay, you might have used word or paint, is it? So how do you select an object? You'll be getting a rectangular section like area, is it? So same way here you'll be having, you're going to select the particular area of the object where it is being displayed, and you're moving the block of pixel values whatever you had stored earlier for in the frame buffer. Those pixel values you are going to move to the other position. Okay, so that is, maybe here you want to display means you are going to store the or transfer the values to the other position in the frame buffer. Okay, so that is how we are going to do the translation function. Okay, so here remember that you are going to move the block of pixel values from one position to the another position. So we call that process as block transfer or bit block transfer or a pixel transfer. Okay, so all bit settings in the rectangular area are copied as block into another part of the frame buffer. So as I said, you are going to actually have all the values as a bit values in the frame buffer. So these bit values are all stored, and it is being copied to the other location in the frame buffer. Okay, so here uh, uh, what so what exactly you may be doing when you are going to transfer the particular pixel informations. Okay, see, as I said, when you are going to move or translate the object from one position to other position, you may have to erase the older location. So when you want to erase it, it means that you are going to erase the values in the frame buffer as well. So that's why here in this particular raster methods we have what we can do is to erase the older location or the older object that was displayed earlier, we can erase the pattern at the original location by assigning the background color to all the pixels within that block. So suppose your initial location was with the background color, maybe white, you may have chosen white background. Okay, what we are going to do here is to erase the old object that was displayed. We are going to what we are going to do is we are going to set the object color to background color. Okay, we are going to make it same, so that you may look it as it is being erased. Okay, here the object is being erased on the screen, you may feel like that. Okay, but you are actually the what you are going to do is you are going to assign the background color which was there in the screen to the particular uh, uh, locations of the framework. Okay, so that is what we are going to do here. So you may be thinking now how these pixel values are being stored in the frame buffer. Okay, so you have to have certain pattern for storing as well, is it? So here in raster systems, actually the pixel values are being stored in the form of array. Okay, you will be having an array of values. Okay, array of pixel values. Okay, so now suppose if you want to do any manipulation for the object, then you have to actually manipulate the pixel values, is it? Pixel values only. That is being stored in the framework. So an array of pixel values are being actually manipulated in the frame buffer. So now the first transformation function we have, that is translation, is it? Translation. Next we have rotation. Then we have scaling. So let us see how we can apply this particular method, raster kind of method, for doing all these transformations. So first let us discuss about translation. So you have a figure here, that is a two-dimensional figure, and you're going to actually do the block transfer of the uh, pixel information. Okay, so let us see how it is being going to do the translation function here. See here, you have an object initially with the position. So you have an object that is a pentagon, I say 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, pentagon you have, and you have a rectangular section. So like you are going to select an object, same way you have uh, a rectangular section. Okay, so this section also has got p minimum and p maximum. Okay, 2 points that coordinate positions which specifies the limits of the rectangular block. Okay, now you have to move this entire block. Suppose if you want to do translation activity. Okay, so I say now you want to move the object to lower position here. Okay, so then what you have to do, you have to do the manipulation, or you have to transfer this complete rectangular portion. Okay, with the certain minute limits you have, p minimum and p maximum, that I should that also you have to note it here. So translating an object from screen position, that is from this particular position to the destination position, is being shown in this figure by moving the rectangular blocks of pixel values. uh, you can actually do the translation function here. Okay, and you have, see here, the p minimum is now being changed to some other position. So you have p naught. Okay, p naught as the new position, so that is being shown here. P naught, you have moved this p minimum from p minimum to p naught. Okay, and again p max will be also changed. Okay, so actually internally what happens is you are actually manipulating the array of pixel values. Okay, so that is what the function is actually happening behind. So let us take one more transformation function, that is rotation. Okay, you have one more transformation activity, that is we call rotation. Second one it is. So here again, consider an example, or you consider one of the object. Okay, say you are going to take an object, and initially you want to rotate the object about 90 degree. So you want to rotate it initially for about 90 degree, and after rotating 90 degree the particular object, again you want to rotate it second time, twice you are going to do. So sequence of operations you are going to do here actually. And what happens at that time, you are if you calculate the rotation angle, it will be 180 degree, is it? So now you again, when you are saying an object, you are going to actually store the uh, pixel values. So rotating an array of array is actually done to rotate an object. Okay, so you have to rotate the pixel values now. So I say first initially you have an object, and its pixel information you have here, that is shown here. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So this is the pixel information you have for an object. So this pixel information, where it's being stored, it's stored in frame buffer. Now initially you want to rotate the object about 90 degree. Okay, in the counterclockwise rotation. So when you rotate it, what will be the pixel positions? So let us see that see carefully here. The first row is being changed here as column, is it? This is the first row you had, it is being changed to column, and second row 4 5 6 is being changed to again 6 4 6 5 4, and 7 8 9 is being changed to 9 8 7 in this manner, and 10 11 12 is being changed to 12 11 10. So this is final pixel values you'll be having after rotating about 90 degree. Okay, similarly again now you want to rotate, I say you want to rotate again to 90 degree. What happens now? The entire rotation angle will be 180 degree, is it? So again see what are the pixel positions, or positions of the pixel values. See here the third one. Okay, so this is 90 degree, and so this is the original pixel values you have. Now 180 degree rotation if you are going to do, see how you are having. Okay, the array information. See, so already you have rotated about 90 degree. Okay, now again this matrix is again rotated about 90 degree. Say how the values will be now. Again if you rotate, so here first initially when you are seeing this particular matrix, it's a original matrix, is it? Or the, yeah, it's a original matrix. First initially you have rotated it about 90 degree, and you have got this matrix. Again rotate the matrix. Okay, and again you'll be getting the values in this manner. Okay, see here 12 12 11 10 it came as first row, and 9 8 7 it came as second row, 6 5 7 it came as third row, 3 2 1 it came as fourth row. So this is after again if you consider this as a after rotating 90 degree, you get this matrix, is it? Again, if you rotate 90 degree, you will be getting final matrix as this. Okay. Okay, so this is the final matrix with the complete 180 degree rotation. So in earlier slide, we have rotated the object about 90 degree. So now suppose if your rotation angle is maybe theta is 45 degree or 60 degree or 25 degree. Okay, what is the procedure? Let us see. So I say now the procedure is applied for rotation angles other than 90 degree. Okay, so let us see that. So you have an rectangular section. Okay, and you want to rotate the rectangular section now. So let us see how you can rotate it. See here, each destination pixel in this particular procedure, each destination pixel is being mapped to rotated array, and the amount of overlap with the rotated pixel is being calculated. So what happens? You have an original position and now you start to rotate the uh, rectangular section, is it? Now you get an overlapping section, overlapping section with the rotated pixel also, is it? So later you are going to calculate it, the rotated pixel area based upon the overlapping positions. So now a color for a destination pixel can also be computed by averaging the colors of the overlapped source pixels. So some of the pixels will be actually overlapped in that particular position when you are going to rotate the original object, is it? So now we have to do certain calculations and uh, get the values for the overlapped source pixels and weighted by the percentage of area overlap. Okay, and it's being calculated using the percentage of area that's being overlapped. Pixel areas in the original block are being actually scaled using specified values of Sx and Sy and then mapped onto the set of destination pixels. So original block of pixels you will be having, okay, original area you will be having, so that has to be scaled now with the certain scaling factors Sx and Sy, and the color of the each of the destination pixel is then assigned according to its area of overlap with the scaled pixel areas. So now suppose if you want to do scaling process for this entire section, okay, rectangular section, how you can do? So I say now this entire rectangular section you will be dividing it into in terms of pixels. Okay, you can say this is 1 pixel, this is 1 pixel, so like this. Okay, now this pixel has to be scaled. Maybe I say here Sx and Sy values, we take it as 0.5. Sx and, that is scaling factor, Sx and, that means exactly half of the original position you are going to make. You have scaled the original object. See, if original object was size was 1, you are going to make it as half. That means you are going to, you have a scaling factor of 0.5 now. So you can see that this particular entire pixel is being changed to uh, this size, is it? So this size is half of it, half of the previous original pixel size. So here this is like a scaling process we are going to do. Scaling means the larger object is actually here being decreased in its size to a smaller object. Okay, and we consider an fixed point. So whenever you doing a scaling process, you will be doing with respect to certain fixed point. So here consider the fixed point that has XF and YF. Okay, but to do the scaling process, we have the procedure. So whatever the previous example I have taken for rotation of an object of 45 degree, the same procedure is being followed in this case also. OpenGL raster transformations. The translation of a rectangular array of pixel color values from one buffer area to another buffer can be accomplished in OpenGL as a copy operation. Okay, so as I said in the previous slides, we have discussed about translation activity. How a translation activity was performed? You are actually copying the array of pixel information or array of pixel color values to another location in the same frame buffer. Okay, so to do this particular procedure to translate any object, you have to actually copy the pixels initially. So that is accomplished with the help of certain operations here. So to accomplish this particular operation, we have an OpenGL function called GL copy pixels x minimum, y minimum, width, height, and GL underscore color. Okay, so here GL underscore symbolic constant you have. So 5 parameters it has. So here GL underscore color, it specifies that it is the color values that are to be copied. Okay. So here I say here whenever you are going to say a translation activity, you are going to copy the entire rectangular section. So this section again has x minimum value, y minimum values, is it? And you have the width and height of the rectangular section that is being copied, and again you will be having a certain color for the rectangular section. So that color information also you have to copy, is it? So that is what this particular function is going to do. So initially at this particular stage you are actually creating an area on the screen. That is rectangular area you want to create. So in the rectangular area you will be again having certain object. Okay, you may be having certain image, but we have to translate the image or the object. You have to select an rectangular section. So now our aim is to create that rectangular section. So that is being accomplished by this particular function. Okay, initially that is GL copy pixels x minimum, y minimum, width, height, and GL color information also you have. Okay, so where this process all takes place, it's all inside the frame buffer. Okay, so this array of pixels is to be copied to the rectangular area of the refresh buffer, whose lower left corner is at the location specified by current raster position. Okay, so for translation activity, you may have to call the functions in an order. Okay, initially you may have to call GL copy pixel, then GL read buffer, then GL copy pixel function, and then again GL draw buffer. So that is one by one you will be calling that functions. And if suppose if you want to do rotation activity, rotation will happen on the same place. Is it? You are not going to move your position of the object, is it? But you just rotate it about an angle mm, in the same position. So now what you have to do, uh, you have to read the pixel information. So that's why you have, see, for rotating and block of pixel color values in 90-degree increments. So I say here we are taking a condition here, it's incrementing only 90-degree. So you know how the matrix format will be there for 90-degree increments of rotation. So what you have to do initially, you have to first save the block, the entire pixel information block in the array format. So what you have to do to create that array information, you have to just call the function as GL read pixels x minimum, y minimum, width, height of the rectangular section, and then you have GL underscore RGB. So the color information that is you are going to have, and also GL underscore unsigned byte. Okay, so this is the type we have here, GL underscore unsigned byte and color array. So this one, if you are specifying a color array, if you are specifying, then that means that you are actually creating an array of pixels. Okay, so then array of pixel information you actually create initially, and for rotation activity, uh, what exactly you may be doing, you have initially you have created an array of pixel values. Now you have to rearrange the elements of the array. Is it for rotating it about 90 degree, you have to rearrange the array elements. So that's already seen in the previous slide. And after rearranging, what exactly you have to do, after rearranging the particular pixel values, you have to again place it back to the refresh buffer. Is it? So to do that, uh, you have to uh, do another activity here. So that means, see, first initially you will be reading the pixel information, and after reading, that means reading means you're actually creating an array. Okay, so rearrange the columns and rows of the array, and then you'll be getting a final array. Is it? Now this information has to be actually displayed on the screen. So again we call one more function called GL draw pixels. Hmm? This is after calling this GL read pixels, you have to call GL draw pixels just to draw your contents on the screen after rotation process. Okay, after rotation means rotating actually your arrays. Okay, the values will be actually rearranged, so that information you want to display now. So that's why we call the GL draw pixels. Width, height, GL underscore RGB, GL underscore unsigned byte, and again you have the color array. So this is also an array information only you have exactly, but it does the drawing process of your drawing will happen actually on the raster screen. And then again we have one more function, maybe for scaling it will be used. Okay, so till now I have talked about rotation, these two functions. Now suppose if you want to do scaling process, okay, what exactly you may be doing, you have to call, you have one more function called GL pixel zoom sx comma sy. Okay, suppose if you want to scale an area, okay, any area, then you have to call this particular function. After GL copy pixels function, you can call this particular function. Okay, first step is you have to call GL copy pixels. That means you have to create an rectangular section. Is it? Then you have to scale that rectangular section. So that's why you are going to have initially you will be calling GL copy pixel function. Then second step is GL pixel zoom you will be called. In this you have again two parameters, this is sx and sy. What is sx? It is scaling parameter along x axis, and scaling parameter along y axis you have. So this will be done. Okay, so you know exactly how the scaling process happens. uh, Suppose you have sx and sy as uh, minus 3.0, suppose. Then the scaling operation, negative values will be having reflection activity there. Okay, so remember that. Basic OpenGL geometric transformations. So you know what do you mean by transformations? So you have different activities like scaling, rotation, translation, shearing, reflection. So different kinds of transformations you have studied till now. So how to write this in OpenGL? How to write the transformations in OpenGL? Let us see here. So whenever you write the transformations, your transformations will be stored in the form of 4 cross 4 matrix. And, okay, remember that you will be having a 4 cross 4 matrix. and it's constructed in the following routine. So whenever you call any transformation routine, it's actually behind your system. Actually, it is going to form a 4 by 4 matrix, and then that is particularly applied to the coordinates of the object. Okay, so here GL, you have first function called translation, is it? So let us see how to write the function for translation activity. You have GL translate, and you have a pointer here with the tx. See, parameters are tx, ty and tz. Okay, so these parameters will be a real number values, and you may have a translation for 2D plane or a 3D plane. Okay, and here you may represent in the place of asterisk sign, you can represent f or integer as, sorry, f or d. Okay, double or float you can represent here. That is the suffix code you have here. Then suppose if you are saying, if you are setting tz is equal to 0, okay, then you are not having any z component, only 2D applications. If you are doing translating any 2D application, or suppose any 2D object, then you're setting tz as 0. Okay, only you'll be giving values for tx and ty. That is, tx is translation factor along x-axis, translation factor along y-axis. Okay, and if suppose you are working on 3D applications or 3D objects, then you may have to set tz some value. Okay, again this will be, if suppose for example GL translate f 25.0 minus 10.20, 0.0. Suppose if you are going to write, you are actually performing the translation activity along the in the 2D plane. Okay, because only you have activated these two values, and f represents floating, whatever the values you give here will be a floating point value. Similar like the previous kind of translation activity, again for rotation also your matrix will be in the form of 4 by 4 rotation matrix. And if you want to call the function, you have to have an function like this, that is rotation function. If you want to call GL rotate, and you have an asterisk sign, and then theta comma vx comma vy vz. So theta represents the rotation angle, and Vx, Vy, Vz represents the rotation axis. So you may be doing the rotation along the x-axis or along y-axis or with respect to z-axis. So this will be the chances of rotation. So here you can activate any one of the value, because once if you are rotating an object, maybe for about 90 degree, I say 90 degree, so you give the theta value. Okay, 90 90.0, like this floating point. If you are selecting here GL rotate float, it is GL rotate f, you will be writing. Okay, theta maybe I say consider 90 degree, 90, and say you have z value as 1.0, and rest of the values are 0.0, 0.0. So then what is the meaning? You are actually rotating an object about 90 degree along z axis. So that is the meaning. Okay, so you can either rotate along x axis or y axis or z axis. Suppose next time if you want to rotate it, the object at 90 degree along the y axis, then you have to just write the code as GL rotate f 90.0, comma 0.0, 1, comma 1.0, comma 0.0. Okay, so this is how you are going to write the values here. So next we have scaling. To do the scaling also, again you have to set the scaling matrix as 4 by 4, 4 cross 4 scaling matrix, and your function for scaling is GL scale Sx, Sy, Sz. So this Sx, Sy already you know that's our scaling factors along x-axis, y-axis, and now we have one more axis, that is scaling factor along z-axis also. Okay. So scaling in a two-dimensional systems involves changes in x and y dimensions only. So a typical two-dimensional scaling operation has a z scaling factor of 1.0 in that case. Okay, so if you are working with two-dimensional figures, then your z scaling factor will be 1.0. Okay, so for example, I take here a GL scale F. So you are working with, remember that your object is 2D. So you have written the code for that for scaling, maybe to increase the size of the object or decrease the size of the object. Now we have written it as GL scale F 2.0, comma 3 minus 3.0, comma 1.0. Okay, see, remember that here Z factor is 1.0. Okay, so if you have set it 1, then it's actually you're working with here with 2D object. So let us see one code here. So suppose if you're working with the raster systems, normally what you will be doing, you will be having initially world coordinates. All your object values will be stored in the form of world coordinates. Is it? World coordinates will be converted to, you can say, object coordinates, and then object coordinates are converted to camera coordinates. So now you have a model view function here, is it? So this model view is actually converting your world coordinates to camera coordinates. So suppose if you want to display any contents on the screen, you must at least have a camera coordinate system. So that's why so world coordinates is nothing but whatever weaving you are going to do initially. For example, if you weave a tree outside, so that actually has, the tree is viewed as in the form of world coordinates. Okay, the camera coordinates will be different because camera cannot view an entire world, is it? So your camera coordinates will be totally different from world coordinates. So now, okay, we are here actually converting a world coordinate to a camera coordinate. So to do this, we have a particular function in OpenGL. So that is, here we are going to call as GL matrix mode GL underscore model view. Okay. Okay, this is the GL matrix mode is the routine that is being used to set the projection mode, which designates the matrix that has to be used for projection transformations. So the model view is actually to set initially your matrix. Okay, so if you want to display an object, you have to have a matrix, is it? So to initialize it, we need this model view. So how, suppose if you want to have a matrix in the form of 4 cross 4, that means you will be having at least 16 elements there. So how do you define it? GL float elements, an array of 16 values will be having in that, and GL int k for k is equal to 0, k less than 16, k plus plus, and these values are all floating point values. So it's the array values, or the values whatever you want to have, all are being stored in the form of array. Okay, so elements of k you have here. So that's what you are actually storing the values. Maybe you have any floating point values, whatever you have, it actually has to be stored in the form of array. So that's why we have this for loop here. And then we have GL load matrix F elements. So that's the one more function. Uh, okay, that's the last thing we have here. So suppose if you are going to write GL load identity, there will be a different form of function that's going to happen here. So for example, I say here, whenever you talk about a model view, uh, when you are calling a model view here, okay, it initially initializes current matrix. So you have a current matrix. Okay, now we are going to initialize a current matrix. So now we want to initialize some values for this current matrix. Okay, suppose you don't have any value, then you are going to actually set the current matrix with the identity matrix. Okay, another matrix you will be having. So what you are going to do, you are going to assign the identity matrix values to the current matrix. Okay, so that is what we may be doing. Another method we have, so I said we can assign identity matrix to the current matrix. So that is one procedure. Another way we have a some current matrix take. Okay, and now you want to assign your own values to the locations on the current matrix. Okay, so that time you will have to go for GL load matrix F elements. Okay, so now in this particular problem we have GL load matrix F elements. So this is one method, or else you can write GL load identity also. GL load identity, if you are going to write, that means you are going to load your identity matrix to the current matrix. Okay, whereas if you write GL load matrix F with some values, okay, then you are going to actually set the current matrix with your own values. Okay, you are, as you wish, any values you can take. So that is so we can assign the other values of the elements to the current matrix using this kind of function. So thus assuming that the current matrix is a model view matrix, okay, which we designate as M. So we designate here, so you have M is equal to M into M dash, is it? So what do you mean by this M? M is a model view matrix, or you can say it is a current matrix you have. Okay, so this current matrix has to be now updated with certain values. So what exactly you may be doing, you may be multiplying it with the next few values, or 16 values you had no earlier the slide. Same values you can enter there as a matrix. In this case, the M dash actually here represents the matrix whose elements are specified by your other element 16 in the code. Okay, so that is what the meaning here is, or you can, in simple words, what I can say here is your current matrix you have, okay, and you are going to multiply with certain values. Now we want to initialize this current matrix with certain values. So you are going to give the values for the current matrix. So finally you get the model view matrix. Okay, so that is the meaning here. So you are just updating the model view matrix with the new values. Okay, so that is what we have written here. So then we have GL mult matrix function that can be also used to set up any transformation sequence with individual defined matrices. So now if you are going to do matrix multiplication in sequence, okay, not only one, here we have considered only one. Suppose in sequence if you are going to do, for example, take an example here, GL matrix mode, GL underscore model view, okay, model view matrix we are going to consider here, and then we are calling one more identity matrix, that is GL load identity. So now your current matrix, whatever you have, it's being set to identity matrix. Okay, and done. Now this identity matrix has to be multiplied with certain elements. Okay, so initially post multiply identity with the matrix 2, this will be called, and then after calculating this, so after multiplication of the identity matrix with these elements, so this is one matrix, is it? You get a new matrix. So again you have to multiply it with one more matrix M1. Okay, so post multiply M2 with M1. So that means it produces a current model view matrix. So finally we will be getting a model view matrix. Okay, and how it is being multiplied? Post, what is post multiply? Okay, so you move from this end to this end. Okay, first you will be getting uh, identity matrix multiplied with M2 matrix. So you get M2 as one matrix. Okay, after getting M2, you multiply that matrix with M1. So from this way you are going to left to right, you are going to do the multiplication process, is it? So that's why we have a post multiply M2 with M1. Here previous case we have post multiply identity matrix with M2. Okay, so that is the way how we are going to do the multiplication process in case of model view transformation.